Hey everybody, this is Mr. Beckstrom, and today we're going to go over section 3.2 in the book. This is the perimeter of polygons and area of quadrilaterals. So let's go ahead and first define what a quadrilateral is. A quadrilateral is a shape that has four straight sides. So it can be a trapezoid, it can be a parallelogram, it can be a rectangle, it can be a square. It can also be none of those, right? We could have something that just looks like, let me draw one out here. Let me do. Right. So that would also be a parallelogram. Notice there's no right angles, nothing's parallel to each other, and you just call that a four-sided polygon or a quadrilateral. So let's take a look at how we find the perimeter and area of all these types of shapes. The first thing we're going to talk about is the perimeter. The perimeter is just adding up all the sides. So notice I did the perimeter of the rectangle here. So if you add up L plus L, because there's two lengths, there's two widths, so that would be 2 times L plus 2 times W, and that would give you the perimeter. For a parallelogram, you're looking at the same thing. You're just adding the four sides. Trapezoid, once again, you're just adding the four sides. It's really the area that kind of becomes a little bit more complex, and then we have to look at some actual formulas for. So I have the area of the rectangle, an area of a parallelogram, which is really almost the same formula as area of the rectangle. But then we also have the area of the trapezoid, which is a little bit different here, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So let's go ahead and look at some examples, see if we can solve those, and then we'll go through the solutions here. So here is a parallelogram, and not a parallelogram. This is a trapezoid, and a trapezoid is defined as a quadrilateral where exactly two of the sides are parallel to each other. So notice that in this case, this side is parallel with this side, but these two sides are not parallel. So that is a trapezoid. So we have one of these two formulas. It's really the same formula, just written out a little bit differently. So go ahead, see if you can find the perimeter and the area. Pause the video, and when you're ready, we'll go through the solution. All right, so the perimeter is pretty easy here. All we're doing is adding up the sides. Clear out my calculator here. And so I have four sides there. Just add those up. 17.8 plus 26.5 plus 43.4 and plus 27.2. So 114.9 is our perimeter. And let me just double check. 17.8, 26.5, 43.4, 27.2. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to find the area. And to find the area is we need to locate the B1 and B2. That's the base 1 and the base 2. Now the bases are the two lines that are parallel. So in this case, it would be these two lines, the top and the bottom. Now don't get fooled here. You can also, have a parallelogram that looks like this. And you have to figure out what the two bases are. And it'd be the two parallel sides. So we could call this B1. Call that B2. It doesn't matter which one you call B1 or B2. All right, so putting this in the formula here, I'll use this first one for simplicity. So the area is equal to, I'm going to call it this B1 and that B2. So 17.8 plus 43.4 divided by 2, and basically what you're doing is you're finding the average of the two bases, and then you're multiplying by the height. The height is the distance between the two bases, so that would be the 23.6 times 23.6. Let's do this in our calculator here. So I could do 17.8 plus 43.4. And then we're going to divide that by 2. That's the average of the two bases. And then we're going to multiply that by 23.6. And we get 722.16. So that would be our area. All right, let's take a look at another example here. All right, so go ahead and find me the perimeter and the area of this quadrilateral here. Pause the video, and when you're ready to go through the solution, go ahead and unpause the video. All right, once again, the perimeter is going to be pretty easy. We're just going to add up the four sides. So 16 plus 16 plus 4 plus 20, and we have a perimeter of 56. The area is going to be a little bit trickier. Notice that it looks like we have two sides here that are parallel to each other, the 16 meter side and the 4 meter side. So I'm going to use the formula for the trapezoid because these other two sides are not parallel to each other, opposite sides. So once again, we're going to use the area for the trapezoids. That's going to be area, and I'll use the second formula this time just to switch it up a little bit. Oops. Okay, so area is going to be equal to h over 2. That's the height. Remember, the height is the distance between the two parallel sides. So in this case, it would be 16 because that distance there is perpendicular to both of those parallel lines or parallel sides there. So that's going to be 16 over 2 times b1 plus b2. 16 plus 20, excuse me, plus 4. I was thinking ahead here. So this is going to be 8 times 20, which is 160. 160, and this would be meters squared because we're talking about area here. All right, here's the last example I want to take a look at. So determine what kind of shape this is, and then go ahead and find the perimeter and the area. So go ahead and pause it now, and then when you're ready, go ahead and unpause and we'll go through the solution. All right, so this definitely looks like a parallelogram because these two opposite sides are parallel to each other and these two opposite sides are parallel to each other. But it's not a rectangle because these sides do not meet at right angles there. So we're going to use the formula for the parallelogram. So the first thing we're going to do is find the perimeter, however. So the perimeter is just going to be the four sides added up. So go to my calculator. So I'm going to do 5 plus 5 because both of these are going to be 5. And then I have plus 6 1/3 plus 6 1/3. So I'm going to do that 6 plus 1/3 plus 6 plus 1/3. So you can either put it in like this into your calculator, or if you have the TI-30XS, there's actually a button on there that lets you put in a mixed number, and you can do that as well. But if you add all that up together, it gives you a decimal, but we can use our fraction button here, and this is 68/3. So that would be let me see, 68 divided by 3 is 22. So that's going to be 22 2/3. So that will be the perimeter, the distance around this parallelogram here. Now let's do the area. And the area is just base times height. So I can use either one of these as my bases, but then I have to know a height. That's the distance between one parallel line to the next parallel line. So in this case, if I used the 5 or these two as my base, then the height would have to be the distance between those two lines, which it doesn't give me. So in this case, I'm going to use this as my base, the 6 1/3, and my height, the distance between these two lines, is 4 2/3 yards, which they give me over there. So that's what I'm going to use for my base, and this for my height. So this is going to be, I'm going to do it like this, 6 plus 1/3 times 4 plus 2/3. 2/3. And I get some crazy number here. Let's see if it'll let me convert that back to a fraction. It does. So this is 266 divided by 9 is, that looks like it's 29 5/9. If you wanted to figure out what this was here, I could subtract or to the right of the decimal place was, I could subtract the 29 and then convert that to a fraction, and sure enough, that's 5/9. So the area is 29 5/9 yards squared. So 29 5/9 yards squared. All right, if you have any questions at all, please let me know, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thanks.